This is the read aloud for April 7th. Your learning targets for today are: I can explain how a transitional word or phrase changes the meaning of a sentence, and I can explain the relationship between two ideas in a sentence. Teacher note: a transition word can completely change the meaning of a sentence, and that can completely change the meaning or events happening in a text. Transition words are really important for us as readers and writers so we can communicate clearly to others and we can understand what they are saying to us. Now that we have looked at some sentences in isolation, let's take a look at some paragraphs from text. The first text we're going to look at is about space, so get your science knowledge ready to help you. This is the sentence right here. Most asteroids orbit the sun between Mars and Jupiter. NT7, however, is a near-Earth asteroid. Near-Earth asteroids orbit the sun close to Earth. NT7 orbits the sun once every 837 days. Its orbit sometimes takes NT7 as far from the sun as Mars. At other times, it is within Earth's orbit. So this is where we'll sort out our thinking. So the first idea that we see from our first sentence is that it's talking about most asteroids. So for idea 1, I put most asteroids. Then if we look at our second sentence, our next idea is NT7. NT7 is a near-Earth asteroid. So for idea 2, we'll put NT7. So now we have to think about what's the relationship or connection between idea 1 and idea 2. So looking back in the sentences, it says, most asteroids orbit the sun between Mars and Jupiter. NT7, however, is a near-Earth asteroid. So we can see that these asteroids orbit between Mars and Jupiter, and then this other asteroid orbits near Earth. So we can see that they are different because of where they're orbiting the sun. So when we go to the relationship, we're going to say that they are different because of where they orbit the sun. So now we'll go down to question 1. What is the difference between NT7 and other asteroids? Which transition word in the paragraph helps you to know that? So your first sentence starts with, the difference between NT7 and other asteroids is, and we already said how they're different up here, so you just need to put it in your own words down here about how they're different. And then we're looking back at the paragraph. What transition word helps us to know that they're different? So what word in here is like introducing the fact that they're different asteroids? So write which word you think it is down here in this blank. And then I will explain. The word for the transition word is however. So we know that however is a transition word because it's saying that these asteroids and NT7 are different. So it's saying these asteroids orbit between Mars and Jupiter, however, NT7 is blah, 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 blah. So this however right here is helping us realize that NT7 is different from the other asteroids. So we'll do some more practice with it. It might be a little confusing now, but that's okay. So let's go down to the do now. Number 1, read the sentences below. How does the speaker in sentence 1 feel about basketball? And how does the speaker in sentence 2 feel about basketball? So sentence 1, I played basketball yesterday afternoon because I was bored. Or sentence 2, I played basketball yesterday afternoon so I was bored. So if we look back at sentence 1, how is that speaker feeling about basketball? So this speaker is saying that he played basketball yesterday because he was bored. So if he was bored and he decided to play basketball, how would he feel about basketball? Write that in this blank right here. And then for sentence 2, I played basketball yesterday, so I was bored. So if this speaker is playing basketball and so he was bored, how is that speaker feeling about basketball? Go ahead and write that in the second blank. For these two sentences, we can see that they're different because of these words. So because and so are what make these sentences different. And with these just changing one little word, it's changing the meaning of the entire sentence. So in sentence 1, the person is saying that they played basketball yesterday because they were bored. So that means the person is bored and they like to play basketball, so to get rid of their boredom, they decide to play basketball. But in sentence 2, the speaker is saying that they decided to play basketball and they were bored. So they did not like the basketball. They thought it was boring because when they decided to play it, they got bored. So you can see that in sentence 1, they have a positive idea about basketball, and in sentence 2, they have a negative idea about basketball. So just changing this word of because and so changes it from positive to negative. We'll keep going with this. Teacher notes. I'm going to show you how I would think through this type of question. As I do that, pay attention to how I use the exact same steps that we practice above and add 2 more. So the first step here is idea number 1. I notice that the first idea here is that the last time people walked on the moon was 1972. They stayed for just 3 days. So we're using this paragraph down here. It says, only 12 people have set foot on the moon so far. The last time was in late 1972 when 2 astronauts walked on the surface. Their final visit, the longest of any, lasted just 3 days. So that's idea number 1. Idea number 2, my second idea is that there's a new moon visit and the astronauts are going to stay on the moon. So this is here. Now astronauts are preparing for another mission to our space neighbor. This time, blank, they plan to stay there. Now we have to ID the relationship or the connection. So we know that the new one is different because the astronauts are going to stay on the moon. So in the first idea, they just stayed for 3 days. In the second idea, they're actually going to stay there longer. So we know that these 2 ideas are different because the astronauts are going to stay on the moon longer in the second one. So now we're going to go down here. Which transition word would best complete the sentence? So step 4 is now I need to look at my transition words and see what they mean. And then we'll use Poe to find our answer. So our first transition word is however. However means there's a change from how something was before. B, therefore, which means the same as or as a result of something. C, also, means in addition and shows me 2 things are the same. So if we know that these 2 ideas are different, which one of these is talking about 2 different ideas or a change? So we can see that however, yep, that means change, so A could be an answer. B means the same, so that's not the same as different, so we can cross out B. C means the 2 things are the same, so that's not right, so we can cross out C. So that means the correct answer is A, because it shows that there is a change. So now we'll go down where it says student thinking. Step 1 is ID idea number 1. Step 2 is ID idea number 2. Step 3 is ID the relationship or connection. Step 4 is define transition words. And step 5 is PO or use process of elimination. So right here, try the next 2 examples on your own using the same thinking we did in the example above. You do. The paragraph starts right here. The moon mission is part of President George W. Bush's long-term space plan. The proposed base is the first step in the bold plan to prepare astronauts for their ultimate destination, Mars. Blank Mars is so far from Earth, traveling there will require humans to stay for long periods of time. Astronauts will not be able to bring enough supplies for the entire mission. They will have to use the elements on Mars to survive. Choose a transition which makes the most sense to fill in the blank. A, because. B, so. C, however. So think about what do these words mean, and then what you can do to make sure that it makes sense is you would plug the word into the sentence. So because, put it here. So let's read that sentence again. Because Mars is so far from Earth, traveling there will require humans to stay for long periods of time. So to decide, does A make sense when we plug because in there? Now we'll move on to B. So Mars is so far from Earth, traveling there will require humans to stay for long periods of time. So think to yourself, does that make sense? And then we'll move to C. However, Mars is so far from Earth, traveling there will require humans to stay for long periods of time. So choose which one makes the most sense, A, B, or C. And then make your choice, and we'll move down to the next one. Blank, some supporters are jumping over the moon about launching a new era of space exploration. Not everyone is pleased about the plan. Critics warn that it will be difficult to fund the moon program. So far, NASA has not put a price tag on the mission, but welcomes participation by other countries to help carry out this plan. Choose the transition word which makes the most sense to fill in the blank. So first think about, what do each of these words mean? And then we'll plug it in. Because some supporters are jumping over the moon about launching a new era of space exploration, not everyone is pleased with the plan. Think, does that make sense? B. While some supporters are jumping over the moon about launching a new era of space exploration, not everyone is pleased with the plan. Think, does that make sense? And then C. Therefore, some supporters are jumping over the moon about launching a new era of space exploration. Not everyone is pleased with the plan. Think, does that make sense? Okay, so now you're going to complete a mini quiz to assess your learning. We want you to text your teacher your answers to get your score, and I also want you to text me, Miss Coyer, with your answer too. So here's my number up here, and then these are your teacher's numbers, so find your teacher, text them, and then text me. So here's your mini quiz. We're going to do your preview and predict with your topic, your do know, your don't know, and your author's claim. I'm going to read this to you, and then you'll answer the questions on your own. Alrighty. So the title is Women in High Power Positions Head to the Forefront of Politics. Paragraph 1. Chile, Germany, Liberia. Although those 3 countries are on separate continents, they have something in common. Each country has had a woman leading its government. Since the 1990s, more than 30 countries have chosen women as heads of government. Is the United States ready to join the pack? Go ahead and pause, and from the reading and the title in the first paragraph, fill out the topic, your do know, and your don't know in your chart. And we'll go to paragraph 2. That's a question many asked during the 2008 presidential election. Candidates from both the Democratic and Republican parties had their eyes set on the White House. One of the candidates in the spotlight was Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton, a Democrat from New York. "I'm in and I'm in it to win," the former First Lady, wife of former President Bill Clinton, said at the start of her campaign. While she was not nominated as the Democratic candidate in the election, she did become the Secretary of State in 2009. Paragraph 3. Does any woman have a chance of occupying the Oval Office? 6 of every 10 Americans think the United States is ready for a woman president, according to Gallup poll. Paragraph 4. I think it's very realistic for kids today to imagine that they'll see a woman president, and it may happen quickly. Bruce Kane, a political science professor and the director of the University of California, Washington Center, told WR News. There is a pretty widespread acceptance in America that women can do the job. Though the nation has never had a female president, several women hold high positions in government today. Pretty much every barrier has been broken except the presidency and vice presidency, adds Kane. In 1997, Madeleine Albright was appointed the first woman Secretary of State. In 2005, Condoleezza Rice became the first African American woman to hold that office. The Secretary of State is the country's top diplomat and the highest ranking member of the President's cabinet or group of close advisors. Alright, pause there. Fill out the author's claim in your chart. And then when your chart is all filled out, we'll go on to question 1. What is the main idea of this passage? A. America needs to elect a woman as the next president. B. Women are just as capable as men. C. It seems likely that America could have a woman as president soon. Number 2. Reread the sentences from paragraph 1. Chile, Germany, Liberia. Although those 3 countries are on separate continents, they have something in common. Each country has a woman leading its government. Which word could replace although and preserve the meaning of the sentence? A. However. B. While. C. Because. Number 3. Reread paragraph 2. Which of the following statements is supported by the text? B. Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State before she was the president. C. Even though Hillary Clinton did not get elected president in 2008, she still showed that more women are working in government when she became Secretary of State. D. Although Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State in 2009, she was not interested in being in government, so she decided not to run for president. Number 4. Read the sentences from paragraph 2. While she was not nominated as the Democratic candidate in the election, she did become the Secretary of State in 2009. Which word could replace while and keep the meaning of this sentence the same? B. After. C. When. D. Even though. For the rest of the questions, you will not need your text. Number 5. Read the sentences, then choose the best transition word to fill in the blank. Many middle school students feel passionately that they should be allowed to have their phones with them at all times. Blank adults are concerned about the impact that cell phones can have on young people. While interacting with friends through messages can be fun, the constant connection that we have through our phones can also have a damaging effect on young people. So which word should go in this blank? A. However. B. Therefore. C. So. Read the sentences, then choose the best transition word to fill the blank. American society has changed significantly in the last 50 years. Blank, many people lived in small neighborhood communities where they had close connections with their neighbors. Now people are more likely to interact with a wide range of friends and family who live spread out over a large area. Many of this is the result of increased access to cars and ease of travel. Which word should go in the blank? B, before, C, because, D, while. Here's your challenge question. Read the sentences, then choose the best transition words to fill in the blanks. Archaeologists have a fascinating job. They study history, but unlike many historians who spend a lot of time reading and writing, archaeologists spend a lot of time outside. Their job consists of researching a specific historical site and actually digging up the ground to unearth what is hidden below. Blank, it can seem like archaeology is all about action. Research is also very important. Blank, an archaeologist can begin a dig. They do extensive reading to learn all about the site that they are planning to excavate. So, which word should go in the blank for number 7? Because or while? And which word should go in the blank for number 8? Meanwhile or before? That's it for today. So, go back, fill out all your answers to your mini quiz, and then you are done.